everyone who accidentally clicked on this video and the rest of you who keep coming back. I don't know why. Here is our first conflict of interest out here. It is, of course, Ukraine. So first of all, we're going to look at Stepova, and this is the only map change that we see out here as of today. So yesterday and today we can see that Russian forces are further trying to complete their encirclement of Avdiivka, further pushing to the village of Stepova out here. So really, I mean, like I said, let's measure this. Let's actually measure this really quick. Just to take a look at how much they've actually taken. About here to here, right? Yeah, so 500 meters, half a kilometer. I mean, if they want to average about half a kilometer every day, they would probably take, about, yeah, a few weeks, maybe a couple months for them to completely finish Avdiivka. So, just touching on that, obviously Russia is pushing really, really hard, and we've seen some reports that, Russia has just further tried to push Avdiivka even harder as of lately. So, um, just in terms of that, they're going to, I believe, eventually take Avdiivka, although some people, claim to think that they won't. But if you just take a look at kind of what's been happening, obviously they don't really care about losses in terms of equipment or manpower out there. And as we talked about previously as well, kind of like the Storm Z units that were pretty much sitting out of this area, where are they? They're somewhere around here. So, if Russia is trying to maybe conserve their manpower and throw their, their most expendable troops into Avdiivka, but I guess they're kind of just sitting out here and on Donetsk out here. So, just in terms of that, why aren't they throwing more of these guys out there? It seems that they're just throwing their more, I guess elite troops, even though, I don't think the Somalia battalion, I mean, we already know what the Somalia battalion is, but it's not actually Somalian. But, like I said, just talking about that, we're probably going to see a lot more losses, not just for Russia, but also Ukraine in this direction, too. So Ukraine has really been highlighting their use of anti-air abilities, given the amount of Shahed drones that have been targeting Ukraine, especially Kyiv, their capital out there. So what I really want to show here is the downing of a Shahed drone, and it seems that Ukraine has been not just stepping up their anti-aircraft abilities just because of the uptick of attacks, but also out of complete necessity, given the fact that it's going to be getting colder as of recently. So just touching upon that, it's important for Ukraine to continue this ability to shoot down not just drones but also any other aircraft out there, since neither seems to have any air superiority out there. So whenever that changes, if that ever changes out here in this war, uh, expect for whichever side to have that air superiority to gain a huge upper hand, because as we know, air superiority, especially in modern warfare, is really, really important. So, which is a big reason why it's kind of stagnated. The front lines have completely stopped for the most part, and just like as we talked about, only advance half a kilometer every day, or maybe even a few hundred meters. So, you know, uh, air superiority is really important, and since neither of them have it, that's why they aren't really moving too much. So now taking a look at Oryx and what they're reporting out there. So first of all, Ukraine was sitting at 4,761 in terms of equipment losses. Now they're at 4,771, so about 10 in equipment. And Russia was sitting at 13,236, and now they're at 13,269, which is 33. So about 1 to 3 is probably what we'd be expecting even at the end of the day. Although, albeit I'm a bit surprised that it's not more, considering, Russia is on a broader offensive, and usually this entire conflict has been 1 to 3 in Ukraine's favor, but usually when Russia is on the offensive, it's even bigger, like 1 to 6 or even 1 to 10. Um, Although those are more like 1 to 10 are more Bakhmut numbers. So perhaps they're being a bit more cautious, as we've seen. They were advancing pretty hard at first in the Avdiivka direction, but now the fact that they aren't advancing as much, it seems that they're being a bit more cautious. And also, from what I understand, the weather out there is not as great. That's been really muddy and a little bit snowy out there. So, we're expecting it to kind of freeze over a bit, but from what we know, the fact that once it gets a lot colder out there, it's easier for tanks and heavy armor to advance over solid ground. So Other than that, that's really mostly what I had for equipment. All right, now taking a look at Israel Gaza out here. First of all, we can see that hostilities between Hezbollah and Israel have kind of stepped up a little bit as of recently, since we haven't seen pretty much anything going on out there. But it seems to be mostly Israeli kind of hostilities out there for the most part, and as well as we see some clashes still going on in the West Bank, some arrests and some other raids kind of going on out there. So of course, I mean, as long as this conflict goes on, it seems that this is probably going to be the hottest spot of until the ceasefire ends. So. Further on that, from what I understand, the ceasefire has further been extended by a day, and the fact that it's kind of been extended further kind of indicates that Israel and Hamas don't really want this, right? And well, of course, most of the civilians don't want this, but those who do, are probably more or less outweighed in terms of what's going on in their conscience, and also those around them, of how much do they really want to fight this war, because the Gaza Strip is just being completely leveled, and people are dying on all sides. So like, what's the point, right? But anyways, what I really want to talk about here was that this quote right here, Israel and Hamas, they agreed to extend it. The two Israeli Russians who were unilaterally released on Wednesday by Hamas as a gesture to Putin will be counted toward Thursday's release. So what does that mean? Why, like, what kind of gesture to Putin was it? Was it this kind of gesture? Was it this gesture? Or this gesture? I don't know. Anyways, so, that's kind of what's going on out there as of right now. So this is some footage coming out of Nigeria, and it's being reported that this is in the Biafran region. So these are Nigerian troops operating out there, and it's although there are some conflicting reports as to kind of what's going on, but from what I wanted to say is that there are some clashes that are going on in Nigeria right now. Although I'm not necessarily too sure as to the scale, they don't seem to be too large, but they are definitely a bit more than some raids. But from what I understand from the combat that I've seen, it's a little, it's a bit intense, and especially from this clip out here, it sounds pretty intense as well. So, we'll definitely keep an eye on it. I'll definitely update you as it develops. But not every, it doesn't seem to be too sure that either of these guys are perhaps clashing with separatists, or perhaps if they are clashing with Boko Haram. We're not really sure really what the deal is out there, but of course, as soon as I get that, I'll let you guys know. So interestingly, it seems that the UNLF has signed a peace agreement with India out here, and of course, ending a 6-decade-long armed movement, as this guy's reporting over here. So it's pretty interesting to see that this something like this is coming to an end, and of course, it being junta aligned, as we've kind of talked about a little bit in terms of talking about Myanmar. So it's interesting to see how this conflict it's kind of like touching along other places like in India, but just in terms of Myanmar and what's going on out there, I didn't really see too much combat as of coming out today, but we saw a lot, of course, yesterday. But a lot of the stuff that I saw I didn't feel really needed to be shared, or I could really share on YouTube for the matter. But yeah, other than that, that's all I really want to talk about in terms of Myanmar. Well, that's everything I really wanted to cover out here. I really want to talk more about Myanmar, as I've said in the past videos. So if anybody out there has any more information on Myanmar or any other conflicts that are going on that I'm not really covering, i.e., not Ukraine or Israel, please let me know. If there are like consistent, map updated resources that I could use, please let me know, because I would really be happy to use them. But other than that, if you have a comment or a question, leave it down below. And thanks for watching, everyone.